monetizing digital services since 2004, boosting the entertainment industry by making digital content accessible for everyone. AWG, where innovation meets monetization.
Welcome to the Human Capital Innovations Podcast, where your source for personal, professional, and organizational growth and development, where we share original research, explore industry trends, and interview executives and thought leaders from across the globe. We hope you join us often for practitioner-oriented content around all things related to leadership, HR, talent management, organizational development, and change management. Maximize your personal and organizational potential with Human Capital Innovations Podcast. If you enjoy the Human Capital Innovations Podcast, enjoy ad-free listening by going to the Patreon page, and please consider contributing even at the producer or sponsorship level. And please leave a review. Thank you for your support. Welcome to the Human Capital Innovations Podcast. In this HCI Podcast episode, I talk with Eric Holsapple about mindfulness to help companies navigate work. Eric Holsapple, welcome to the Human Capital Innovations Podcast.
Thanks for having me, John.
It is a pleasure to be with you. You're joining us from Colorado. I'm south of Salt Lake City in Utah. And today we're going to be talking about your new book and more generally about mindfulness in the workplace and how it can help us navigate remote work and the shifting nature of work. As we get started, I wanted to share Eric's bio with everybody. Eric Holsapple has a PhD in economics, has been a real estate CEO and developer for nearly 40 years, lectured real estate at Colorado State University for 20 years, and practiced yoga and meditation for 30 years. He has a unique perspective on how merging business and mindfulness can be a catalyst in changing lives. He is the founder of Living in the Gap. His popular workshops teach CEOs and professionals a different way to operate mindfully while improving the bottom line. I think that's awesome, super important. And I'm excited to pick your brain and learn more about your new book and about this topic more generally. Anything else you would like to share with me or my audience by way of your background before we dive on in?
I would just say, I was successful young in business, was the CEO in my 20s of a subsidiary of an Australian group, but I just wasn't happy that I found I could be materially successful in business, but, not happy, not healthy. And through these principles that I've, kind of stumbled on and found and put together over the years, I found a way to be happy first. And it's made me even more successful and definitely a better person. So I'm excited
I love
to
that.
be on.
Yeah, I love that. And I love that how you're framing it. It's not mutually exclusive. And I think a lot of times people think you have to choose. You have to choose either like health and happiness or kind of the grind and the success in the material aspects. And the truth is, when you love what you do, when you're a healthier person, when you interact with other people in more healthy ways, it can help you be more successful in your business. It can help you be more successful with your teams. So the two really can go hand in hand. And it just speaks to why organizations and why leaders should be paying attention to issues like mindfulness and around mental health and the whole holistic health of the individuals that work on their teams. Because not only is it good for the person, for the individual, the human case is strong, but the business case is also equally strong. When you focus on these things, it helps the team to work better together, to be more effective, more efficient, more productive, more innovative, and it helps the organization provide greater value to the market.
Totally. I hear some in the business community when I speak to them go, oh, it's mindfulness. That's woo-woo. We're singing Kumbaya and holding hands. That's too soft. Someday when I make it, I'll do that. And I say, that's not really right. What I see is the distractions that we have from our smartphones and from media and all that. That's woo-woo. Mindfulness in one word is focus. I can focus on what I choose to focus on and notice when I go away and bring myself back. Notice when I go away and bring myself back. And there's nothing contrary to focus in business. I mean, in fact, focus is business. I'm all business. I love business. So I wouldn't probably be doing it if it wasn't good for business. I don't think I have that in my DNA. So absolutely. And why are we in business if not to be happy? To provide things for our families and to provide us happiness. And I don't think it's like I think we've sold ourselves a bill of goods that only later on can we be happy, after we've accomplished all these things and retire and, we're at the end of the day. I think I can be happy at work, and I'd rather call somebody that's happy. I'd rather make a call to a salesperson that makes me feel better than I would to, someone that maybe is really successful, but they're always grinding, it's always, everything's a grind. So that's my take. I think I can be happy and successful.
I agree. And I mean, there is something to be said for deferred gratification, and immediate gratification can lead to its own set of challenges. But I like how you articulate this in terms of focus. Mindfulness is about being present. It's about focus. Whether it's focusing on your family and your relationships when you're in that context, or focusing on your client when you're in that context, or focusing on what you're writing, or those types of things when you're in that context. If we're able to shift and be present where we're at and be mindful and focus on what we're doing, we're just going to be more productive and accomplish much, much more. We're going to find happiness. That doesn't mean, sometimes we have to do things we don't like to do, and there is delayed gratification. It's important for us to do things that will help us prepare for a future. But if we're constantly selling our present short for some potential future, and we're not also living in the moment and also trying to find happiness and fulfillment now, we're probably never going to get to that future that we're aiming for. My experience is that, from myself and other successful people that are my peers, is we changing the goalposts. If we're saying, when I get that, I can remember everybody saying, when I get to six figures, that'll be great. And then it's, when I get my house paid for, that'll be great. And then I'll be, when I get that condo, then I'll be, I'd like to take the family to Hawaii. When I get to, and then all the time we're saying, I need 2 country clubs. I need that, that we keep moving the goalposts on ourselves. If we can just learn, and also the research is showing, we're reading a book now by Sean Archer, The Happiness Advantage, that in an 8-week corporate mindfulness program running. And, the research is irrefutable that being happy is good for business. Harvard researchers are saying, no, we've studied it. If you're happy, you're going to do better. My personal experiences, I see things that I wouldn't see when I'm not happy. If I'm happy, I'm more aware and I see opportunities. I've always said, when the good Lord shuts a door, he opens a window somewhere, if I can see it. So, but it's been my experience that there's always opportunities that we miss, and I can't control every outcome anyway. It's just not possible. But if I can stay awake and alert, and not every dip in the stock price isn't a catastrophe to me, I see opportunities that are opening up all the time that may not be where I thought was going to happen, but it is what did happen. Yeah. And then it's your opportunity and your choice on how you're going to respond to it. I love that perspective. And you shared a little bit in your background about where you started and how you started to get into more mindfulness types of approaches. But maybe we can start there and talk a little more in detail about how you came to promote mindfulness more specifically within your own work, as well as when you're working with other organizations. So I was really successful traveling 50 weeks a year. Not, I'm an athlete, but I hadn't worked out in 5 years. I was, overweight, drinking too much, started smoking, was single, was miserable. I got a transfer to Boston and got an apartment. The good news was there were enough problems in town that I didn't have to travel. Got a scale, stepped on the scale, looked at it and said, geez, you're not going to be around very long, if you don't make some changes. And so I made some changes, left that job, worked towards getting a PhD in economics. I thought, I'll teach, I'll do that. I'll work on getting some more purpose. I found yoga. Yoga was my first entry into mindfulness. I was an athlete. It was like I had been disassociated with my body. I got re-familiarized with my body. That was a game changer. Then a couple of years later, my oldest brother was a poet.
My dad was a football coach, and they were like oil and water. And they were strange. The whole family, it caused a stress on it. My brother started meditating. I watched him get closer and closer and come back to my dad. And when he opened up, my dad opened up, and I got my whole family back. It was like we had family reunions, things happened. And he said, "Do you want to try it?" He's a mentor of mine. He's 10 years older than I am. I said, "Yeah, I'll try it." And it was a game changer for me. I liked it. I was a closet meditator for years. It's something you can complete completely private. You don't have to run around. The world's still a pretty skeptical place. You don't have to run around and expose yourself that you're into woo-woo. You can keep it to yourself until you're secure in yourself. But then I brought it into work, and one by one, people started noticing a difference in me. And I became somebody that would actually slow down and talk to people, and they'd come bring a problem to me or whatnot, and I'd say, "Well, this is what I'm doing. Try this." We started a seed group at work where we just read a book and do center. It was voluntary. Before I knew it, the room was full. The management team revisited the vision statement, called it Mindfully Creating Community. Game changer for our company. Everybody started on, and they were doing some, but everybody started on nonprofit boards doing, work around town. Everybody doesn't meditate. We have done an 8-week program where everybody learned it, but over half do. And it's changed the whole flavor of the company. And the real miracle is people brought it home. We've had one divorce in our company, and they got remarried 8 years later. It's crazy. I mean, we're in a world where there's 50% divorce rates. Maybe it's an anomaly, but I think there's some tie to it. There's some relationship to that builds a lot. There was just a study that came out from Harvard, 80-year-long study that said the number one source of happiness with long-term relationships.
Yeah.
And mindfulness promotes relationships.
Monetizing digital services since 2004. Boosting the entertainment industry by making digital content accessible for everyone. AWG, where innovation meets monetization.
Promotes communications and presence and relationships. Yes. So it's been a great ride. It's been a great ride. And the business is thriving. It's not in lieu of business. I couldn't do it. I mean, naturally, I don't think I could. My nature do it if it wasn't. And actually, for years, I was stalled in this because everything I was reading in these Buddhist texts said, "Renounce all your possessions," and I go, "Well, I ain't doing that." And I learned more about, hey, I can make a bigger difference by being successful if I'm willing to serve and give back and do these other things. Maybe that's for some renunciance on a hill. But I'm not doing, and I found, that was so relieving when that was a switch turn. Now I can just, give back. That's how capitalism works and how it can work for me, and I can still feel good about myself. So.
I just want to highlight too that doing things like meditating, yoga, those sorts of things, those are certain mindfulness practices, but they're not exclusively everything that involves mindfulness. Like there's lots of things that can promote mindfulness. And so whether, that 50% of your employees that don't continue to practice meditation, my suspicion is even if they don't practice, the meditation that they went through this 8-week training on, they probably have other mindfulness practices that are embedded into their lives that are still making a difference.
Mindful walks are a huge one. They just take at lunch, they take a little mindful walk around the building. It's huge, or the other thing is, we have a coats and boots program that our company runs. Anybody in the town that has a free and reduced lunch in elementary school, we have a local retailer, Shields, that provides them at cost. We raise some money for it. I mean, that's mindfulness. That's putting gratitude in action and changing your whole mindset. So little things like that too brings the whole company. Everybody enjoys going and giving out that to the kids, and you just get so much of a charge out of it. And the kids see the expression on the kid's face.
Exactly. And various forms of self-reflection, prayer, things like nature walks, all of these things. I've said it on this podcast many times before. One of the things that I do is kind of a combination of several of these things. But the best mental resets for me and the mindfulness anchors for me are, twice a day when I walk my dogs for about 30 to 45 minutes out in the park behind my house, just being with the pets, being out in nature, clearing my mind. Oftentimes it's when I have my best ideas and sparks of innovation are happening when I'm not thinking about anything related to work and my mind's just kind of free and I'm connecting in that way. And then, things occur to me, things happen. I make new connections that I hadn't before. There's a lot of ways that you can do it.
Absolutely.
And so regardless of, what your specific mechanism is towards mindfulness, the health benefits, the mental health benefits, the workplace innovation benefits, all of those things are very, very clear in research. And so it behooves us to pay attention to this and to make sure that we're promoting it, not just for ourselves and walking the walk, and setting example, but really encouraging and promoting this with our people so that they can be their most true, authentic self and be their best self and fulfill their potential at work. That's good for them. That's good for the company. It's good for everyone.
The other thing I've learned is it doesn't have to be yoga. For the mindful, I found, for years, I still do. I love yoga. I teach yoga. I promote it. But I also say you can bring mindfulness to weightlifting. You can bring mindfulness to Pilates. You can bring mindfulness to basketball. There's a lot of ways. You be mindful at what you like to do. Now, yoga may teach you some techniques to help you get in your body. Try it for a little bit, learn those, and take them to what you like to do. There's a lot of ways to be mindful. I agree with you.
Absolutely. One of the things I know you talk about is the processional effect. Maybe you can describe that for us, and then we can get into talking about your book a bit more.
Yeah, the precession effect is how the world works at 90-degree angles. Comes from it's ancient Greek, but it also, the first one that applied to the business was Buckminster Fuller. He's an architect in the 1930s. And for instance, when a bee goes and is working on making honey, the processional effect is pollinating all the plants. It's not the bee's main intention. It just happens as a side effect. Or the sun pulls the moon towards it, but the earth towards it. The earth doesn't crash into the sun. It goes around it at a 90-degree angle. Well, business is that way too. When I go into some of my best business things have been through nonprofit work. I'm at a nonprofit board with another leader. I'll give you an example. I was I was running the Economic Development Corp, and a guy, Ralph, came up to me and said, Eric, I love what you do with the university and with the community. I know you develop shopping centers. North College Avenue in Fort Collins needs a developer. They're really trying to get something going up there. Would you go meet with them? When I met with them 5 years later, I'm developing a shopping center. Now, in that shopping center, they introduced us to this Coats and Boots project. They went to one elementary school, and we saw them do 22 schools. We brought it to Loveland, the next city down. Things just happen that way. Things are a direct. I make a cold call, I get a version. You get a car warranty call. I'm not saying, "Oh, hi, how's your day going?" I'm trying to get off the thing. But if I'm with somebody, just meeting them, I make a better relationship. If I'm working with them in a common cause, and when something comes up, I'm in flow with them. They ask me about it, and the good things just happen. It's not why I'm there, but I have all kinds of those examples in my book about that. So that's it. Just, go out and take intentional actions and just be aware of that. That's your karma. Karma is cause and effect, and be aware how things work. Business world isn't all direct. A lot of it is indirect.
Yeah. I love that. And so the title of your book is Profit with Presence, which relates, I think, back to what we've just been talking about. So tell us a little bit more about the impetus for the book, why this book, why now, and then we can start to dig into some of the particulars of the book.
Well, the base content of the book is called The 12 Pillars of Mindful Leadership that come from our Mindful Leadership program. Beginning of the book is conceptual framework for the state of the art of what the study of consciousness is and how science and spirituality are really merging in a lot of ways. Not that it's all total agreement. There's still a lot of mysteries about consciousness, which is, to me, to be the most fundamental thing of our life that we ought to know more about. So I do that, and then there's I talk about what a mindful CEO is, how to be a mindful CEO, and then mindful corporation. If you want to bring mindfulness into a company, how do you do that? What are some of the pitfalls? What are some things work and don't work? What some companies are doing it, and then a new conceptual worldview, which I really believe business is awesome and has so much power. I believe that business is the great melting pot. I mean, we talk about America being the melting pot, but it's really in business that's the alchemy. All races, all religions, all political parties together for a common cause. And we're mandated to get along. If we can infuse business with mindfulness, the business transforms. And not only that, and I've witnessed it here, people bring it home. They share it with their spouses. Their kids get a taste of it. It goes to the school meetings, school boards, goes to the teams, those kind of things that it really spreads. And I think business in the end is going to end the nonsense that we're dealing with. I mean, in South Africa, apartheid was there, world sanctions came in, and the business leaders said, enough, figure this out, move us. And I think here, I don't know how bad it have to get, but eventually business leaders will have had enough and say, move us. We want to make some money. We want to run business. Everybody's tied into business. Business is awesome, and capitalism is the greatest system in the world, and it can work if we're mindful. It can't work if it only works for half a dozen people or 1% of the society, but it can work for everybody and generate enough. We can solve all the problems. I don't believe homelessness or poverty or food, any of those issues are unsolvable. It's the human side that we need to deal with. How do we get along and restart genuine communication in the hope that we can actually solve those problems on the planet Earth? If we believe we could and started working together, I'm really hopeful.
Yeah.
And I think business will be the one that does it in the end.
Well, and what you've been describing, you haven't used the words, but what you've been describing in your own way is, what some people refer to as the triple bottom line, people, planet, profits, right? So it's capitalism, but recognizing that there's more than just share prices and the stockholders. There's other stakeholders that are that have a vested interest in what you're doing in your business. So another term is stakeholder capitalism instead of shareholder capitalism. Like there's these different ways of framing it. Each one though kind of gets at what you're saying, that absolutely through our approach on focusing on people and the impacts on people through the businesses and the products and services that we're generating and creating, that we can not only, economically lift people to a higher standard of living, but we can improve the lives of people and their relationships and various aspects that will
mental health, which is
exactly every aspect of society.
One thing that everybody agrees on guns is it's a mental health issue. I mean, we don't agree on a lot of things, but most people agree that there is a mental health. Mindfulness is mental health.
Yeah,
it's really hopeful, I think, and it's so simple. It's not easy, but it's so simple and so economical.
Yeah, and really, I mean, when we talk about all these different kind of approaches to mindfulness, all the different mechanisms for mindfulness, it is economical. It is fairly simple. The hard part is the discipline of it and the focus. The hard part is building the habits and being committed to doing it, because we live in such a complicated world. It's so busy. We're running all the time, putting out fires constantly. And when you're constantly running, putting out fires, being busy, it's hard to recognize the need or remember the need to slow down, pause, breathe, recenter yourself. And that will help you, that will better equip you to face the challenges that you're facing. But because of the fast pace of the business world, sometimes we forget that. And then we end up effectively inadvertently shooting ourselves in the foot and perpetuating, a problem rather than moving towards a solution.
So that's why I think business is such a great opportunity again. if business leaders recognize that distraction, lack of focus is costing them the bottom line, everybody in business suffers from time. And focus is the answer to doing more in less time. And if we recognize as business leaders, the key to us is having, number one is focus at home when you're at home. So when I'm at work, and I'm not dragged into every little, texting all the time. I've actually taken care of home. Because if we think that people are putting their business against their ahead of their personal life, we're really kidding ourselves. We're in business. We go to work so that we can have a personal life. Most of us, right? Unless you're some elite thing, but, and focus. So if we practice mindfulness at work, we improve focus, we improve productivity, and we do it together so everybody has a little more time. Key is it's got to come from the top. It can't be, I think that all those people should do it. The top has to say, you know what? Yeah, I need to be more focused. I need to be more mindful. And if I give the people a little bit of time and some meditation instruction or other mindfulness, if it's not meditation, just some health things, then I'm going to invest in these people and I'm going to get it back. I'm going to get it back because they're going to be more focused. And remote work that we touched on earlier, I think it's the key to that because we lose command and control at remote work. We have to have some connection. We have to have some trust. And not everybody's going to work well in that. But those that do, I think mindfulness is a very sticky culture. When you find a mindful company, you don't want to leave it. When you find mindful employees, if you're mindful, you don't want to lose them. And you're not going to leave them for a couple grand different in salary or, jumping, which is happening all over the place now. If you find a place you can plug in and say, you know what, this company aligns with my values. They're making a difference in the community and they're listening to me. And I've made a really deep connection with John. He's not only did I work with him, he's a friend. That's possible at work. There's no reason, I know a lot of people say, I can't become friends with him. I have to fire him. I can fire a friend. I'll do it compassionately. Well, I'm a business guy, man. I'll do what I have to do. I'll do it compassionately and I won't leave them destitute and but I'll do what I have to do. I've done it. I still be friends. My best friends in the world I work with. They're awesome.
Yeah. Well, Eric, this has just been a great conversation. We've only scratched the surface. There's a whole lot more we could dig into, but thankfully you have a book that people can refer to and learn more. Before we wrap things up for today, I just wanted to give you a chance to share with the audience how they can connect with you, where they can find your book, etc. And then give us the final word on the topic for today.
Great. Well, first of all, it's available for pre-sale on Amazon. And anything you want to know about the book's also available on our website, livinginthe.gap.org. All of our workshops, free resources on there. There's a 21-day introduction to mindfulness, learning a mindful movement, ending, just starting 10 minutes a day, delivered to your inbox for free. There's a book list, those kind of things there. Start small and be consistent. Do something. Have the intention of being mindful and keep it to yourself. Don't share until you've achieved. Just keep it to yourself a couple minutes a day. Doesn't even have to be meditation, but have the intention to be mindful, even if it's what you're walking your dog, taking a mindful walk. Leave your phone behind, though. Just for a few times, just intentionally leave your phone behind and just get started with something small, I would say. Be consistent as you can.
Yeah, I love it, Eric. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. I encourage the audience to reach out, get connected, find out more about what Eric and his team can do for you. Check out the book. And as always, I hope everyone will stay healthy and safe, that you can find meaning and purpose at work each and every day. And I hope you all have a great week. Do you enjoy the Human Capital Innovations podcast? Enjoy ad-free listening by going to the Patreon page. And please consider contributing even at the producer or sponsorship level. And please leave a review. Thank you for your support. Thanks again for joining us for this episode of the Human Capital Innovations Podcast. I hope you stay healthy and safe and that you have a great week.